plenty of torque, plenty of power. It drives really well.
This is a 2008 Subaru Outback XT. I bought it about 10 years ago and it was completely stock. Because I dropped a valve and when I was tearing apart the engine and I found some damage to the turbo at the time, I decided to get a bigger turbo. And because of the bigger turbo, I decided to get forged rods, forged pistons, closed deck. E85 gives you a ton of power, so I put a Delicious Tuning flex fuel system in it. A Blouch 1.5 XTR turbo, Grimspeed top mount intercooler, just because I didn't want to deal with the complexity of the front mount, and the power output I was looking for didn't really necessitate the front mount intercooler. Although I did add a methanol injection kit, not for power adding, but just to help keep intake temperatures down, mainly the drag strip, because everywhere else it's not really a problem. The lowest it's dynoed when it got first tuned was 425, and then after like a mild retune and a different dyno, it was 460. So pick a number somewhere in between there.
So the owner uses it for autocross, circuit racing, drag racing. And it does really well with these tyres. I can power out of that corner. I love four-wheel drive. Into fourth, down into third again for the corner. Like the overrun, again braking. Grip, lots of grip, lots of grip.
I put a STI 6-speed transmission in it. Mainly because that was just one of the goals I wanted to do with the car, and when I blew up the stock rear differential I had to do something, so I just, instead of just replacing the rear differential and blowing up another one, I just did the whole STI drivetrain swap. Because this car shares a lot of parts with the WRXs and the STIs, the actual transmission and shift linkage, that fit perfectly.
I've been a Subaru guy for a while. When I was younger, I owned a few Subarus, and I just like the philosophy. It's a quirky left field choice for a performance car. You know, you've got that flat 4 engine. Gear change is lovely, slick. Gearbox from an Impreza STI.
The STI differential bolts in perfectly. The only issue with this particular platform, being the Legacy GT and the Outback, is you can't change the rear hubs to match the STI hubs. So you have to use, they call it kind of a hybrid axle. There is a factory axle that works. It's a Legacy GT Spec B, and that's the only car in the US, or really the world, that you can get the axle from. So if I break it, I go to the dealer.
I'm on the gas through the corners and I'm just so confident. Straight away I'm confident. I'm just getting into a rhythm. And there's lots of power. The speed I'm going through these corners is pretty high. And the car doesn't feel stressed by it. You know, you'd think a car that sits so high would be struggling right now, but it's so fluid, it feels fluid. The car just goes where I want it to go. I mean, it weighs 4,000 pounds, so 400 and something wheel horsepower isn't going to be the fastest thing on the planet. but definitely when this thing is on boost, it moves. Really enjoying the cornering. And yes, it has power.
I am using E85. It's not a pure E85 system because I have a flex fuel system wired into it. So, you know, I can fill up with regular gas one day and then 2 days later top it off with E85, and I don't have to worry about adjusting the tune at all because the flex fuel system just kind of takes care of it.
Oh, didn't stall it.
Almost.
Almost. First gear. Yes, second gear. And you know what? It's coming to me. I actually feel like I'm driving an Impreza. It just feels like a bigger Impreza. But because of the extra power, slightly faster than a full bolt-on STI. Just because of the bigger turbo. It's running 4085. As you have to in California. If you're in California and you're not running your 85, sort your life out.
I have an AEM 320 pump. That's methanol rated, or E85 rated, I guess. That feeds some Demise 1300 injectors. I chose the 1300 injectors based on the power output I wanted. I talked with my tuner, Bill at Delicious, and kind of figured out where I wanted to be for power-wise with the turbo and modifications.
You can brake well into the corner and give it gas through the corner as well. It just holds on. Get the third. Yeah, pulls me out of the corner. Great power. I was not expecting a Legacy to be like this. It drives really well. I can actually go as far as saying it feels at home in the canyons. It doesn't feel like it's out of place. And if there was a faster car in front, that faster car would not leave me behind. I love four-wheel drive, and four-wheel drive mated to slick tyres is just great. Plenty of grip, plenty of torque, plenty of power. And the cyclists are here, so it's time to slow down.
A lot of people, when they modify Outbacks, do two things. They either lift it or they lower it. Lifting it's pretty easy because you just put spacers between the body and the strut. Lowering it is also easy because the Legacy GT is the same platform, so you just get the suspension from that, and then you're automatically about 2 or 3 inches lower than the Outback. Well, because I'm weird and I want to use the Outback for still Outback things, I was looking for a 1-inch drop from factory. So what I had to do was track down the one suspension kit basically in the world that'll allow me to do what I wanted to do. Bilstein makes a product for the Japanese market only. It's exactly 1 inch lower than an Outback from the factory, with stiffer springs all around and upgraded sway bars and a bunch of chassis bracing.
Turning is good. Zero understeer. So much front end grip. I mean, you can literally accelerate through the apex. Okay, mid corner, then boost, and it just pulls you out of the corner. And then on the brakes hard, yes, again, these STI brakes really help. Racing pads. I love the sound of that flat floor. Such an interesting car to get the opportunity to drive. I mean, it's an Outback. Have you ever seen a tuned Outback before? Have you ever seen an Outback with a built motor before? I bet you haven't. And boy, it was the last thing I would expect to find. But really, I'm so happy I've got the opportunity to try it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. I appreciate you watching. Please like, subscribe and share the video. And thank you for watching The Speed Addiction. Until next time.